Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Anthony with themovieblog.com, and I'm back here with another video. This time we're doing the movie news. Check out the movie news for the week of May 8th, 2022. Dragon Ball Super Superhero is the upcoming movie and sequel to Dragon Ball Super Broly. The movie will finally continue the saga of Goku and friends after the last anime Dragon Ball Super. Fans are patiently waiting for more information, and we're getting some in the form of these new images for the upcoming film. Dragon Ball Super ended on such a high note. I remember watching videos while the last few episodes were releasing of people all across the world making it a global event. Governments were projecting episodes to the public due to the massive popularity of the show in public places. I've never in my life seen a show have this sort of response. The anticipation for this new movie is quite high, and I am extremely excited. That's all I have for this one. As soon as I get more information, I'll share it. If you guys like these news updates and want to see more, make sure that you like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'm gonna check you guys later. Peace. Lionsgate is announcing a new entry in the Hunger Games franchise. I'm very surprised about this news, but nothing should be surprising coming from CinemaCon. The name of the movie is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and will release on November 17th, 2023. The news from Deadline reads as follows. The pick, as previously announced, is directed by Those Sequels filmmaker Francis Lawrence. The prequel to the $3 billion series is set years prior to the original films. We see the 18-year-old Coriolanus Snow, who would have become the tyrannical president of Panem. The young Snow sees a chance for a change in fortunes when he is chosen to be mentor to Lucy Gray Baird, the tribute from the impoverished District 12. This is interesting news. The Hunger Games is a franchise I remember enjoying a lot in the beginning. My interest dropped a little bit in the later sequels, but I'm excited to see folks returning, and hopefully this movie will bring the action and that visceral point of view that I enjoyed from the earlier films. Something about those opening moments at the beginning of those games in the first two movies. Anyway, that's all I have for this one. As usual, if you guys like these updates and want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'm gonna check you guys later. Peace. The Wonder Twins movie is reportedly canceled. The news is especially shocking since casting updates are fairly recent, with KJ Apa and Isabel May joining as leads. According to the CBR report, the crew is receiving updates about the cancellation before the production could begin. The news reads as follows. The Wonder Twins was announced in February 2022 with Black Adam writer Adam Steele set to write and direct, along with Temple Hill's Marty Bauman and Wick Godfrey producing. The film had also already cast its leads, with Riverdale star KJ Apa and 1883 star Isabel May set to headline as Zan and May, respectively. Casting for the film's villains was also reportedly underway when the project was canceled. This is shocking news, but it is in line with recent reports. Warner Bros. Discovery wants to reshape the way they release DC films. I can't imagine what something like the MCU looks like for someone working within DC films or their owner, Warner Bros. Discovery. I felt like the decisions and quality from Warner Bros. With their DC films were inconsistent. But this tone and reception is a reflection of the reception of the DC Comics brand itself. This feels like the beginning of a DC reboot, and for us comic fans, the beginning of a DC crisis. I don't mind Warner Bros. Trying to course correct their film release strategy. I hope they intend to copy Marvel in one way, and that they plan their narrative and their releases for 5 to 10 years at a time. Anyway, that's all I have for this one. As usual, if you guys like these news updates and want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll check you guys later. Peace. Dave Chappelle is in the news again. This time, the comedian is in the headlines due to an attack by an attendee at the Hollywood Bowl. Some outlets are calling this person a fan, but anyway, the news is all over the internet as we're getting more and more footage from the incident. This is the second on-stage attack of a comedian while performing in recent memory. People are still discussing the ramifications of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Coincidentally, Chris Rock is also in attendance in a scene helping Dave Chappelle when this occurs. This news is still developing, and I expect that we'll get more footage sooner or later, likely from TMZ. Anyway, that's all I have for this one. If you guys like these updates and want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll check you guys later. Peace. Being Mortal is the movie by Aziz Ansari that he will direct and star in alongside actor Bill Murray. The movie is halting production due to a complaint against actor Bill Murray. The movie isn't resuming yet, but we are getting a comment from Bill Murray about the situation. The Hollywood Reporter is reporting that while he was speaking with CNBC, Bill shared the following. There was a difference of opinion with a woman that he was working with that led to the complaint and production pause. I did something I thought was funny, and it wasn't taken that way, he told the outlet. He did not provide further detail on what exactly happened on set, but CNBC reported that Murray, who spoke about the incident during an on-camera interview with the business network at the Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholders meeting, was optimistic that production would restart and that the incident would be settled between him and the woman. As of now, we're talking, and we're trying to make peace with each other, the actor-comedian, who is also reportedly a Berkshire Hathaway shareholder, said. We're both professionals. We like each other's work. We like each other, I think, and if we can't really get along and trust each other, there's no point in going further working together or making the movie as well. It's been quite an education for me. Murray said he's been spending time since production was shut down thinking about what happened. The world is different than it was when I was a little kid. You know, what I always thought was funny as a little kid isn't necessarily the same as what's funny now. Things change and the times change, so it's important for me to figure it out. And I think the most important thing is that it's best for the other person. I thought about it, and if it's not best for the other person, it doesn't matter what happens for me. Murray stated that what would make me the happiest is if both he and the woman are able to go back into work and trust each other and work at the work that we both spent a lot of time developing the skill of. As for his behavior and learning from his mistakes, Murray stated that I think it's a sad dog that can't learn anymore. That's a really sad puppy that can't learn anymore, he continued. I don't want to be that sad dog, and I have no intention of it. I kind of like Bill's response here. He sounds like he's taking accountability for his behavior and is admitting that he needs to grow. He certainly can't say or do things today that were acceptable when he was younger. I, for one, certainly don't want things to go back to the way they were when Bill was a kid. Bill was born in 1950. I hope this resolves amicably and that this is a learning experience for everyone. That's all I have for this one. As usual, if you guys like these updates and want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'm going to check you guys later. Peace.
I was gonna ask a question. My brother and I were just looking. Your outfit is so fire. I just had to first start and say like, oh my God, he's looking so dapper on the carpet. Oh man.
Thank you, man. You're making me feel good.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I was able to catch the first episode.
Okay. I haven't even watched.
I'm like one of 5 people who've seen it.
Yeah.
So
seriously,
I'm really excited about it. I was able to see a lot from your character, but I've never seen the true crime series before. I've never seen it Netflix.
Well, it'd actually be interesting to see what it's like to watch this first and then that. Majority of people probably done it the other way, right? Because I saw the documentary. I became obsessed with the documentary during COVID. And when I got the audition to play Todd in the show, I was like ecstatic because I knew everything about it.
Yeah.
But then this goes a little more in depth and it talks about the family aspect, what that's like to be a family going through this trial. How does it separate you guys? How does it bring you together closer, stronger, not? What are the character arcs throughout this? You know, those are the fun things to kind of examine that this miniseries does that the documentary doesn't.
So when you were doing your research, where did you start? Did you start by doing interviews? Did you start by looking?
Yeah, well, actually, our director over here, Antonio Campos, and the showrunner and the writer, Maggie Cohen, they had so much knowledge about this. I mean, Antonio Campos has been trying to do this project for 10 plus years. He was in the courtroom when Michael Peterson first got convicted.
Really?
Yeah, so he's actually in like a snippet of the documentary. So he knows everything.
Okay.
Everything. And so utilizing him, getting to talk with him, using him as like a bankroll of information and knowledge about the case, about the individuals. Then they had like tons of different folders and videos about each person. So that was helpful.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really
man.
appreciate you. Anthony with the movie blog. It's very nice to
I'm
meet you.
Caitlin. Nice to meet you.
I am so excited about this series. I'm like one of the few people who was able to catch the first episode. Oh my gosh, it is so great. I'm curious because I lived under a rock when all of this was happening. How did the actual real life story, the actual experience, the actual TV series affect everyone's approach to this type of story and getting into these roles?
You know, it's funny. I actually asked Colin Firth the exact same question when I was on set because we both, everyone I think, took just very different approaches. I mean, mine, she's a smaller character, but she's so vital to the story, and so it was really fun learning about Christina and her connection to everything. But I didn't want to play her per se. I wanted to bring my own flavor to it. So, you know, it's one of those things. I think everybody kind of took that approach since it's not your typical series.
That's really cool. That's really cool because with it being such a tight-knit familial story, I'm wondering, like, did you draw from any family experience when approaching your character? What did you draw from?
You know, it's interesting. I have such a large family, so lots of stories to choose from. But I tried to pull more from personal life experience rather than just my family. With this being a true crime series, I didn't quite want to blend that into that room, just to keep emotional barriers.
So were you able to have like family with you while you were filming? I heard some people.
No, not this time. No, all my family's actually in North Carolina, and I live in Georgia where it was filmed. So yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm curious about one last thing. With the series being like a limited series, with it being on HBO Max, with it being such a big stage, what do you want to do next after you finish with this?
That's gosh. Honestly, I would love to do more true crime. I'm a huge fan of mysteries and thrillers, so anything that's deep, dark, and dirty, I would love to get my hands on.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
I love these intimate stories. I love what I've seen so far. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. It was nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
Have a good one.
You too. To speak with you too, Anthony with the movie blog. I'm really excited about this series. I feel like I'm one of the few people here. I was able to catch the first episode, watched it from beginning to end, and I loved it. I was curious about how everyone's approach was to this story, because I'm walking into this blind. So when you guys were like presented with this story, what was your approach to it? How did it affect your?
Well, you know, there's a documentary that it's sort of based on, but the truth is with a documentary, just like I'm performing for your camera, you don't know how much the people in the documentary are performing for the. So I had to go, that's interesting, is that true? I was fortunate enough in that Bill Peterson, who's the guy I played, who's Colin Firth's brother, got on the phone with me a bunch of times and talked to me, and you know, there have been books and podcasts and all kinds of stuff about this, so I think we all kind of dug into that. But that's this, and then you have to get your heart involved in it. So, yeah.
So I noticed in the first episode, you guys have a couple of nice, tender moments together. You come to his side as soon as he calls. I'm curious, did you, with this being a tight familial story, did you draw from any experience with your family to help lend to your character and your relation to Colin Firth's character?
When I'm so tempted to make a really bad joke about my mother at the stairs. I don't know that I drew from my family. I will say I got very close with Colin, and we played a lot of practical jokes on each other, and I got to feeling like brothers a lot. And the cast in this thing is so fantastic. We all kind of fell in love with each other. I know that sounds like the junk people say on on red carpets, but it's actually true in this case. And Dane DeHaan and I went for a walk this morning, and we were saying that we both kind of love everybody in it. Like, there's nobody we go, oh, what was he doing, or what was, and that's a rare thing. You're usually judging somebody, and in this, I don't know. There was something about just the people were so talented that you love working with them. I don't know if that's an answer at all, and it's long-winded, but
well, now you've got me intrigued about these practical jokes. But it's okay if you don't share the practical jokes. But I am curious this: who's next? Whose turn is it to joke?
Oh, well, I don't know. Anybody who I see, really. I mean, I think everyone's fair game for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for the next episode. I'm very excited to see your performance throughout the series. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. Okay, so I was able to catch the first episode. I was really caught by a lot of the atmosphere, a lot of the surprise. I'm walking into this blind, so it's really cool for me.
Like, I'm getting chills hearing you describe that, because like I remember just being on the set, sometimes seeing the different characters, and just the house is incredible that they replicated. We were inside in a warehouse, but once you were in the Peterson mansion, it was almost spooky. It was very haunting, and sometimes I just felt like, was I dropped into the documentary? The lighting is the same. Oh my gosh, look at the characters. It was an incredible experience.
So with this, I noticed that a lot of the cast are at different stages of life, different stages of becoming family or having family. I was curious if any of that was like a factor on the set of the show. Did anyone bring their children to the set, anything like that?
Well, COVID changed everything. It would have been nice to see, without the COVID regulations, what it could have been like. I was sort of lucky when I sprained my ankle on a Thursday and I had to work on a Monday, and I didn't put my weight down until Monday, and I had to get all these kind of, my daughter was with me in Atlanta, my whole family was with me in Atlanta, but I got all this kind of permission from the top, to like allow her, because I was walking on crutches, to allow her to come to the set. But that was like, she was like one of the only people allowed to come, and she just stayed in the trailer, wasn't allowed on the real actual set. But I was like literally like crawling around and hopping around, and so she was one of the few people. I remember Patrick Schwartzman, who plays my son. Patrick Schwarzenegger. I'm so nervous. I'm so sorry. Patrick Schwarzenegger, who plays my son, told her, you don't know how lucky you are that you got to be here, and he has an amazing family. I'm sure they would have loved to stop by.
Having your family with you in Atlanta, was that important to do?
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it was just such a fortunate circumstance for our family, because after COVID, we lived like in a one-bedroom apartment in the city that's separated and like divided up into two. And for Manhattan, it's large. So, we're grateful, but having spent the COVID time in there and going to the supermarket and home, to then get to spend time in a house in Atlanta and see the sky, and there was a pool. We just like laughed the first day we walked into this house, and we had the most amazing time. But I could only like share my experiences on the set with them off the set. But my son was a huge fan of Dane DeHaan, and Dane FaceTimed my son, and his head exploded. My son, who was 11 at the time, just couldn't believe he was getting to talk to him, and that was a beautiful moment to share.
Well, that's awesome to hear that you were able to find so much beauty and fun to have while making such a daunting and dark story.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank you so much. Pleasure to meet you.
It was a pleasure meeting you too.
Sure. The medical examiner.
Hi.
Yes, hi.
Anthony with the movie blog. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Also
meet
on
you.
Winning Time.
Oh yes, yes. Love HBO.
You're in what?
Winning Time.
Where Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm one of the few people who's walking into this a little bit blind.
Okay, so I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
I didn't see the series. I didn't watch True Crime TV. So walking into this staircase, how did walking into such a big popular story, how did it affect your approach to it?
Because it's so popular. Okay, well, I suddenly got access to a whole group of people that I didn't have access to before, which are people that are obsessed with the documentary on Netflix. I mean, obsessed with the documentary, and there are conversations happening online. But also, if you just talk to people, have you seen the staircase? It opens up so many strong opinions because, like anything where we don't know what the answer is, we will never know, we will never have certainty, brings out so much certainty in people and so much, but here's what I know and here's why I can tell you the truth. But I think that's what makes it so compelling to watch is the fact that we won't ever have it. Truth is slippery, right? And there's a gray area even in the role that I played, which is a forensic pathologist, even in science. Although I do think that everybody tried to act with integrity, right?
So I can tell you're like really excited about this.
No, because there's like a whole world of people that I got access to during this show. Just you scratch the like you just ask someone, oh, do you know about the staircase? And there are strong opinions on both sides.
How did you dump shit?
So where do you side as from?
Right,
Where
exactly. And you know
which side of the opinion?
Am I allowed to say?
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep that to myself.
Okay, that's fair. So I'm just curious, after this experience, after this story, having such level of access to multiple
As an actor? Okay. Well, okay, so two things. One is just like as a human being, I don't walk away thinking our legal system is broken. I don't walk away thinking that. I think he actually got
He's right about that.
he had an unbelievable defense lawyer, and he got it may be broken in other ways, but it was a very thorough trial. There were certain things that they could have done differently, that they maybe should have done differently. Maybe certain pieces of evidence they shouldn't have allowed in, like his sexuality, which was, in my opinion, possibly totally irrelevant to the question at hand. I think it's broken in other ways. I don't think it's broken for a white man who can afford that kind of defense attorney. Sorry.
I'm thinking about the first episode. And he had this moment where he sat down with his attorney and he's like, well, how much is it going to cost me to get out of this? And he's throwing some numbers out and they were figuring it out. So I'm curious about the system. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Well, actually, my brother-in-law is a public defender for National Defenders. What's it called? Neighborhood Defender
Service for
Neighborhood
Harlem?
Defender Service.
NDS?
So I really do believe that everybody deserves a defense. I really do believe that. I think for myself personally, a comedy maybe, because it's very dark material, and there was a lot of trauma there, and there was a lot of trauma for the family, and it wasn't just one man on trial; it was a whole family on trial, and
I was scary. Like I'm never
healing for the family.
I'm very excited to see.
Me too.
The series continue. Again, I didn't get to see the True TV stuff. So
Watch the True TV. It's very compelling. And then there is even more backstory that this goes into.
which should I watch first? This show or this?
But also maybe if you have the option, you could do them simultaneously.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Nice
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I am loving your outfit.
What?
Oh my gosh. Yo, where did you get those kicks? Oh my gosh, those are fire.
Thank you.
Those are fire.
I think they're called real. Well, I can't even tell you. How do you say these shoes? Lueve.
Oh my
You're waving. And what you really should know is that this is a vintage 1996 Gucci designed by Tom Ford.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we're all vintage today, except for the shoes.
Well, you've got some great friends to help you out with that jacket. I'm really feeling your outfit. Again, thank you so much for your time. I wanted to ask about this show, about everyone's approach to the show. I feel like I'm one of the few people who was like living under a rock. I didn't see the documentary. So knowing that this is a true story, having seen all that footage, how did that affect everyone's like approach to this topic and approaching their roles?
Everybody had their own approach to it. I know Colin talked about he would just have the documentary just playing in the background all the time to kind of let it sink in but of course he's Michael Peterson was such a character, like the way that he spoke, and he's just such a strange guy, right? So I definitely approach it, watch a lot of the documentary, Court TV had the full thing, so you could watch every single moment of the trial. I wouldn't recommend it, it's pretty boring. But so, I mean, that's obviously the entry point, but the scripted version does explore so much more of the things that we didn't really know about, right? So thankfully, it was tremendous writing, and it allowed us as actors to really see how we would have embodied that moment in such a difficult time. So I play one of his defense attorneys, and I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I first watched it, I was like, that man's guilty. I don't know how I'm gonna defend this man, but Tom Maher, the character that I was with, the real life person, the way that he approached it was the way that I try to approach it, which is he's defending more than Michael Peterson. He's defending the system, right? He does the job of making sure that the state proves beyond a reasonable doubt, which of course they don't believe happened in this case, because of the abuses that can happen so easily and have happened within the American justice system, right? And what we come to find out actually happened in this case. Whether you think he's guilty or not, for the medical examiner to exclude evidence and to make it, you're just like, listen, just because you think you're on the side of right doesn't mean that you have the liberty to change things or withhold things. And so that's what is so exciting about how this story plays out, is because it really does call into question when we're so quick to making a judgment just based on what we see on TV.
Right. Were you one of those people that were enthralled by the Court TV series when it was on air?
Well, my dad was actually a police officer.
Okay.
Yeah. In Alabama. So he was all about, he didn't really watch the trials, but, after OJ and everything became, we as a nation started caring about what was happening in our court system. So that he found interesting, of course. But I was more on the art side of things. So it's funny now because I didn't have any interest in being a lawyer or being a police officer, and it's all I play. It's all I play, which is when people find out my name is Justice, they think that I'm a lawyer. Or when they find out my dad was a police officer, they're like, oh, that makes sense. I was like, yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah. You might be able to help me out with some inside information.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Alzheimer's Association. Yeah, sure. So I'm taking care of my mother. She has an early onset Alzheimer's called posterior cortical atrophy, which is a rare form that causes her to go blind, but not in the traditional sense of just things going black. It's her brain is misinterpreting the information, so she's moving into a psychedelic landscape. It's horrible.
Thank you.
But unfortunately, you probably know this, there is no cure for Alzheimer's, but I discovered that giving her some natural medications like psilocybin mushrooms actually increased her cognition. She went from getting lost in the house, stuttering her speech, to the next day after mushrooms, singing in the kitchen and baking 2 batches of banana bread. So I've been doing a documentary over the last 3 years, documenting our experience and working with the Alzheimer's Association to let people know that there is some hope.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. I'm going to add your mom to my prayers tonight. I really appreciate it.
What are some of your, like, your favorite ways to
Check it out, yeah. Scared money, make less of it. Don't ever let the chance pass you by. Just keep your eye up on the prizes. Life keeps spinning, these rules I break them. Life keeps spinning, them risks I take them. Run way to a bag, nigga thought you in the way, but I flew by. That G6 was in the sky.